Many times in life, when the day feels heavy and the heart quietly grows tired, we begin to search, not for success, not for answers, but simply for a place where we can rest, a place where nothing is required from us, where we do not need to prove anything, where no one asks us to be strong or to keep going when we feel empty inside, a place where we can finally slow down and allow ourselves to breathe again. In the middle of responsibilities, expectations, and endless movement, the mind becomes exhausted, yet we often do not notice how much pressure we carry until silence appears. And in that silence, a quiet longing arises, the longing to be safe, to be understood, and to be accepted exactly as we are, in this very moment. Deep inside, every human heart longs for such a space of understanding, a space of safety, a space of compassion. And sometimes, without realizing it, this peaceful place has always existed within us, patiently waiting for us to return whenever life feels overwhelming. So now, let us slow down together for a moment. Let the breath soften naturally, without forcing anything. Let the mind gradually settle, like waves on the ocean becoming calm after a storm. And gently, we step into the great assembly of compassion, not somewhere far away, not in another world, but here, within this very moment, within this quiet awareness where the heart can finally rest and remember its own gentle nature. Now, we slowly enter the words of the sutra. There is no need to understand everything with the mind. Simply listen. Let the sound flow gently through the heart. These words have traveled through centuries, carrying compassion from one generation to another. As the passage begins, we open ourselves to the atmosphere of the great assembly where countless awakened beings gather in harmony. Allow the mind to rest, allow the breath to soften, and let each word become a gentle step leading us into stillness. Now, we begin. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Buddha was dwelling in a sacred place of practice, surrounded by a vast assembly of monks, bodhisattvas, heavenly beings, and countless awakened ones gathered in harmony. The atmosphere was peaceful and filled with radiant presence. The compassionate energy of awakening shone throughout the gathering, bringing calm and clarity to all beings present. Bodhisattvas from countless realms assembled together, each representing wisdom, compassion, and the aspiration to relieve suffering in every corner of existence. All beings listened with deep attention, waiting for the teaching that would soon unfold. Among the great beings present was Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, the embodiment of boundless compassion, whose presence radiated comfort and protection to all who suffered. Countless celestial beings, dragons, spirits, and protectors of the Dharma also gathered, their minds united in reverence and openness. In that vast and sacred assembly, a great bodhisattva arose, known as the Dharan King, one who preserves and sustains the power of awakened wisdom for the benefit of all living beings. And thus, the great teaching was about to begin. When a sutra begins with the words, "Thus have I heard," it carries a very gentle message. It does not say, "This is a command," or "You must believe this." Instead, it simply says, "This is what was heard, what was experienced, what was witnessed." This reminds us that the teaching is not meant to become a rigid belief. It is an invitation to discover truth through our own experience, In the time of the Buddha, his close disciples listened deeply, lived the teachings, and realized peace within themselves before sharing what they truly understood with others. The teaching was passed from heart to heart, not as dogma, but as living wisdom. And this matters deeply for us today, because in modern life, we often live based on what others tell us. We follow opinions, social expectations, and endless advice, without stopping to look directly into our own experience. We are told what success should look like. We are told what happiness should be. We are told how life should unfold. And slowly, without realizing it, we begin to forget to listen to our own heart. The opening words of the sutra quietly guide us back. They remind us, do not believe blindly and do not reject blindly. Instead, listen carefully, observe gently, and see for yourself. Because real understanding does not come from repeating words, it comes when the heart recognizes truth directly. And perhaps, as we listen to these ancient teachings today, we are not only hearing the wisdom of the past, but slowly learning to hear the quiet wisdom already present within ourselves. In the sutra, the Buddha is described as teaching in a magnificent setting, surrounded by great beings, in a place filled with beauty and harmony. At first, this may sound like a distant sacred land, far removed from our ordinary life. But the deeper meaning is not about geography. It is about the state of mind in which awakening happens. When the mind is free from agitation, free from fear, and free from endless grasping, an ordinary place is transformed. The sacred setting is not created by the outer world, but by the clarity and peace arising within the heart. Very often, we believe peace exists only somewhere else. We think we must travel far away, change our circumstances, or wait for life to become perfect before we can feel calm. Yet the teaching suggests something very simple. When the mind settles, when worries soften, even a small quiet corner can become a place of refuge. A simple room, a silent morning, or a moment of still breathing can open into a sacred space. Because peace does not depend on the world outside, it appears when the mind returns home to itself. So the question is not where the Buddha taught long ago. The real question is, where does awakening happen now? And the answer is always the same. It happens wherever the mind becomes quiet enough to see clearly. In our busy modern life, this teaching is precious, because it reminds us that we do not need to escape the world to find peace. When the mind is peaceful, any place becomes a sacred space. And in that moment, the teaching is happening right where we are. In the sutra, we hear that countless bodhisattvas gather around the Buddha, coming from many realms, each carrying different qualities of awakening and compassion. At first, this may sound like a grand spiritual gathering happening somewhere far beyond our world. But if we listen carefully, the sutra is also speaking about the inner world of the human heart. Each bodhisattva symbolizes a quality that awakens within us: compassion, wisdom, patience, courage, healing, and protection. When the mind begins to calm, these qualities slowly appear, as if many awakened beings are gathering inside our own awareness. In daily life, we often believe we are weak, confused, or lacking something important. Yet the teaching gently reminds us that the seeds of awakening already exist within every person. Compassion appears when we truly understand another's suffering. Wisdom arises when we stop reacting blindly and begin to see clearly. Patience grows when we learn not to fight every difficulty. And healing begins when we allow ourselves to be present with pain instead of running away. These are not gifts coming from outside. They are qualities already living quietly within us. So the gathering of countless bodhisattvas is not only a story about the past, it is also a description of what happens when the heart awakens, when compassion opens, when understanding deepens, and when fear softens. Many positive energies come alive within us. And in that moment, we realize something beautiful. We are not empty or broken. We are simply rediscovering the awakened qualities that were always there. And step by step, the inner assembly of compassion and wisdom begins to guide our life toward peace. In the sutra, one important figure appears within the great assembly, the Dharan King Bodhisattva. The word Dharan carries a profound meaning. It refers to the power to hold, preserve, and protect wisdom so that awakening is not easily lost in the movements of life. Symbolically, this bodhisattva represents a mind that does not scatter, a mind able to remain steady amid changing circumstances. When clarity is preserved, wisdom becomes alive in daily actions, not only during meditation or spiritual study. The appearance of this bodhisattva reminds us that awakening is not only gained, but also needs to be sustained. In modern life, many people suffer not because life is impossible, but because the mind is constantly wandering. Thoughts jump from past regrets to future worries, from comparison to endless planning. Energy becomes fragmented, attention weakens, and inner clarity fades. Even during moments of rest, the mind continues running, making true peace difficult to find. The teaching of Dharan invites us to gently gather the mind, to return attention to this present moment, so wisdom and calmness can remain alive within us. When the mind learns to stay present, even simple activities become meaningful. Walking, breathing, listening, or speaking can all become expressions of awareness. Gradually, life feels less scattered and more grounded. The appearance of Dharan. King Bodhisattva therefore carries a practical message. Awakening is not far away. It begins when we learn to protect and sustain the clarity already present within our own mind. And from this stability, compassion and wisdom naturally guide our steps through daily life. Today, many of us live in constant movement. We are always busy, always worried, always running toward the next responsibility, the next goal, the next problem to solve. Even when the body stops, the mind continues working, planning, remembering, and worrying about what might happen next. And slowly, without noticing, we become tired inside. Not only physically tired, but emotionally exhausted. We try to fix situations, solve conflicts, and improve everything around us, yet the heart still feels restless. Because outer solutions cannot fully help when the inner world remains unsettled. The teaching of Great Compassion offers a very simple reminder. Before trying to change the world, before trying to fix everyone around us, we must first heal the mind. When the mind is confused, even success feels empty. When the heart is burdened, even peaceful situations bring anxiety. But when the mind softens, clarity appears naturally. From that clarity, our actions become wiser, our words become kinder, and our relationships become lighter. And so, the journey of compassion does not begin by saving the world. It begins quietly when we learn to take care of our own heart first. Perhaps today we do not fully understand the meaning of the sutra, and that is perfectly all right. Understanding does not always come through thinking alone. Sometimes it appears quietly when the mind becomes still and the heart relaxes. So for this moment, there is nothing to solve, nothing to achieve, and nowhere else to go. Simply allow yourself to sit quietly. Let the breath move naturally, without effort. Let the body soften and allow the thoughts to slow down on their own. And gently notice that a quiet sense of space is already present within you. In this gentle stillness, the great assembly of compassion does not exist somewhere far away. It begins right here, within your own heart. So now, if it feels comfortable, pause for a moment. Place one hand softly over your heart. Feel the quiet movement of breathing, and allow yourself to rest in silence without trying to change anything. Just for a few moments, let compassion hold you gently, exactly as you are. And as this video ends, may this calm awareness remain with you, guiding you softly through the rest of your day. In the next video, we will continue this quiet journey together and step a little deeper into the sacred teaching of great compassion. Until then, may peace remain with you, and may compassion gently guide your steps in everyday life.